Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Gael.
I'm Isaac.
I'm Thomas.
I'm Mark.
I'm Kayla.
And welcome back. In this episode, we wanted to talk about parents and parent expectations because it's one of the most requested things. You guys really want us to talk about that. Have we talked about that before?
We briefly discussed about it. I remember.
We haven't dedicated an episode to it, right?
No.
That's surprising. I feel like we have. Anyways, let's see. Let's give some context. So, what's your relationship with your parents, Kayla? Like, how would you describe your relationship with them?
Like, as in...
Yeah, like, are they strict? How do you feel? Do you have expectations?
Well, my parents, they're pretty lenient, I guess. Like, more lenient than most parents. I'm really close with my mom, I would say. My dad is, not as close. Like, still kind of close, but not really. I don't know.
I have a mommy and a stepdad. For my mommy, we're close. She always tries her best to take care of me, and I appreciate her for that. Are we close though? I feel like she knows a lot about me, but I do not know a lot about her. As for my stepdad, no, I wouldn't say we're that close.
Okay.
Throughout my whole life, I've had a pretty rocky relationship with my parents, but right now it's doing fine. Obviously, I'm saying so much.
Yeah, try to really cut back because a lot
Try
of
to really cut back.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. It just comes out.
We gotta be conscious.
Okay.
Of this since I forget to.
Well, what was it? Oh yeah. So I've always had a.
It's hard. It's really hard.
Okay.
It's really hard.
I've always had a rocky relationship with my parents, just because of one incident that happened, but I'll get into that later. But basically, we have our good times and our bad times. I'm a lot more closer with my mom more than my dad. She checks up on me a lot, and I don't know, she's just really sweet, and I always have fun with her. And my dad, he works really hard for us. But would I say I'm very close to him? I wouldn't say so, but sometimes it feels like that, father-son relationship you want sometimes, but yeah.
Okay.
So for my bond with my mom, it's really strong because I only live with my mom. And my mom's a lot more lenient than a lot other mothers. Usually they're really strict. But since it's been my mom and my sister only, we've really learned to care for each other.
For me, I'd say my mom is very... she gives me a lot of freedom, a lot of responsibility. So she has a lot of trust in me. So she's very lenient. She's not strict at all. I have a stepdad, but it's kind of a weird situation because he doesn't live with us. He comes visit every 2 months or so. He stays with us for a week and we go do stuff. We're not very close, but I'd say I like him. He's fine. He's cool. And then I'd say I have a pretty good relationship with my mom. We're pretty close. I help her a lot, and she helps me a lot and supports me through pretty much everything. So that's the context of if we have strict parents or not.
Oh, I didn't even say if my parents are strict.
Oh.
No, they're really lenient on everything I do. At first, they were really strict in middle school and elementary, but they've come to trust me now with everything, so.
So who has the most strict parent? Who do you say out of all of us?
I'd say Mark.
Me?
Because you're usually the one that, my mom can't.
Oh, yeah.
She won't let you go.
Yeah. That's because she's not used to that. Because I never really did that until now.
What?
Hang out with friends or do stuff.
Oh.
Yeah.
On my own.
When I when this started becoming a weekly thing, I would be like, why are you going out so much? what are you doing? I'm just like, I'm just going to my friend's house.
Oh, so she still
So-
doesn't know?
No, but eventually she just got used to it. Like sometimes I forget to ask her for permission, so I have to tell her like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm at my friend's house, by the way.
I noticed like the more you ask your parents to go out more frequently, the more they get used to it and they just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's only like the first few times that they're
Yeah.
kind of like worried.
So once you get like past that rough patch, I'd say it kind
Exactly.
of gets better. Okay. Who do you say has like the most lenient parents, the most freedom? That's hard.
Either
I feel
yours
like
or
you-
Thomas's.
I say yours more,
Mhm.
just because she lets you basically do anything
Oh,
as long as you ask her and stuff.
And you're really independent.
I guess so.
Mhm.
Yeah. Isaac and Kayla, you guys are like in the middle. You know, like they're not strict and they're not like super lenient, but they're like
Mhm.
lenient enough that it's like, you know.
Yeah.
Did you ever cross that point where you no longer ask for permission and you just go and you just let them know?
Yes.
When did you cross that point?
Honestly, I feel like after a month of just doing this, I was kind of just like, okay, I'm gonna go.
So it was like last year?
I guess, yeah, around there. Yeah.
Have you guys crossed that point?
I crossed that point a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
It was before freshman year, I'm pretty sure. No, it was in like 7th grade. It was because I used to go to this one friend's house like every week, every single week, and I eventually just stopped asking my parents for permission, and they kind of just knew, or they would just call, and then I'd let them know.
Okay.
So yeah.
Wow, in elementary, I just did it all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
You just went?
Yeah, so now like they got used to it.
Mhm.
Yeah, like in my apartments, I would always have my friends there, and I feel like when I was with them, she was like a lot more trusting
Mm.
because she knew who they were and like where to find them if
Yeah.
anything. So like I would just tell her like, oh, I'm going out with them, and she'd be
Mhm.
like, okay.
Mhm.
There's a time where my relationship with my mom was kind of getting rocky because I would be doing these things.
What are
But-
these things?
Doing this, like hanging out a lot with you guys.
Oh, okay. The
Mhm.
podcast every
Yeah,
week.
the podcast. And I remember one time I forgot to tell them where I was, and they called me, and they were like, it's okay if you do this. You just gotta let us know because all we're doing is just looking out for you. We just want to know you're safe. And then after that, I feel like I became more independent because of that. And then it's just that they start to realize like I'm actually like growing up. Like I'm not their little
That's where you
boy
crossed the
anymore.
line.
Yeah.
Is where you crossed it.
I still let them know because all they want is just my safety.
Yeah.
So
I think I stopped asking probably in like after 8th grade that summer. Because this one like I got a job, so I was able to make money. And I didn't have to ask them for like $10, $15.
And then we would go out to packing house
Yes.
every single time.
Yeah.
I don't know how we can spend so much time there.
And I remember I just stopped. I guess I just stopped asking. I was like, I'm gonna go with my friends. I'm gonna go here instead of like, can I go? Can you give me $15? Once you get money, I think you become a lot more independent.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, one of the biggest things is the pressure from parents. That parents are constantly putting pressure on kids to have a certain career or have a certain goal in life. Would you say that's the case with you guys?
For me, it's not. My mom just says, whatever makes me happy, she'll be happy.
Yeah, that's my mom's mindset too. My dad doesn't really say anything about it, so I'm guessing he's fine with it.
my mom doesn't really say anything. Well, she wants me to go to college, and she does check if I have good grades, but it's more of my uncle that's really pushing me to have a good future. All he wants is just me to be able to buy a house. Like that's his goal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because that's not what his generation was not able to do. So for me to do that, that means he succeeded.
So your uncle puts a lot of pressure on you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd say my parents put quite a lot of pressure on me. There are times where they know I'm really stressed and they tell me, "Oh, Thomas, don't worry about it. If you can't finish that assignment, just don't do it. Do it some other day. Turn it in late or something like that." Or it's mainly my mom. My dad rarely ever asks like about my academics or anything. He just checks up on me every now and then. But my mom, she does expect me to go to college at least and get good grades. But at the same time, she still expects you to be happy. I don't know. She likes to switch up. But yeah, that's basically it.
She likes to
really.
keep you on your toes.
She wants me to be happy, but I think by happiness, she just means like success, you know? Yeah.
Just wants you to get a good job.
Yeah.
Okay. My parents, well, my mom wants me to go to college. She says it would make her happy if I went to college and got into a good college. But, you know, I've told her that it's not part of my plan. I mean, I would like to go, but if I can't afford it, then I'm not going to go. And that does, like, you know, she wishes I did, like, find a way to get, you know, loans and stuff and go and get a good job. But, you know, I told her that, like, my plan isn't to work for someone else or to just get a normal job and do that my entire life. You know, I kind of want to do my own thing, start a company. And she's very accepting of that. She learned to kind of trust me on that. I think it's because I've proven to her that I'm capable of that and I'm able to, you know, be responsible for my own future and kind of be independent and a self-learner. So I think she trusts me that I'll do fine. And so she gives me a lot of responsibility in that sense to, you know, do whatever I think is best for myself.
So even though my parents are both lenient, but they still expect me to like try my best in school, I still feel so pressured to take hard classes and like get good scores on my tests and all that. It's just, it really, really stresses me out. And I cry about it at least once every 3 days. Like, because it's just like me thinking about where I'm heading to, like in my job. Will it make my parents happy? I don't want to disappoint them and all that. So I just have those breakdowns because I truly don't know what I'm going to do that will both make my parents happy and me happy.
I mean, it sounds kind of like you don't know what you want to do and you're scared of failing and disappointing your parents.
Yeah.
Right?
Because obviously they don't want me to study risky.
Do something risky.
Yeah, do something risky. So if I want to study art, well, good luck in that because there's so much competition out there. And it's really what's something about your art that makes it so much more special than the millions of other pieces of art out there.
Mm-hmm.
And even when you do study art or anything like that, the availability of jobs is very limited. So it might just be for nothing. And yeah, it's scary, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like it's more pressure from you than from your parents, though, right? Because
yeah. That's what I'm saying. Even though they don't pressure me that much, I still feel like a lot of pressure.
do you guys feel pressure from your parents, even though you said they're pretty, you know, lenient?
I think I just pressure myself.
Really?
Yeah.
In order to make them happy?
No, not even that. Like, I know that when I show them my grades, like, they do get happy, like, they're proud of me. But I think I do it more for myself. I don't know. I just want to be able to, I guess, provide for myself and for them more than they were able to. So, yeah. And not only that, I think I get more pressure from my sister than my parents. But even that she doesn't really pressure me. I think she just kind of expects me to go because I'm taking, like, these quote-unquote hard classes. So I'm pretty sure she's expecting me to go.
Do you want to go?
Yeah. I think the majority of me wants to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
There's a part of you that doesn't?
Yeah.
Why?
It's expensive.
Oh.
I don't want to waste 4 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, not waste. I don't want to spend 4 years and then do something that I don't want to do.
Or just completely switch your job and
Yeah,
not
that
even
too.
use
Like,
the degree.
let's say I'm like halfway through college, and then I'm just like, actually, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
So I just like switch
Switch
because
it
I'm
up.
really indecisive,
Mhm.
and so yeah, I've thought about that.
You gotta keep yourself on your toes. Switch it up.
None of it costs money.
I know. Well, you think your parents should have a say in your career path, though?
Not really.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
really
they're not gonna be the one that's doing the job.
Yeah, it's really the person's choice whether they want their parents' opinion or not. So
Yeah, I agree. Definitely.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people that are messaging us telling us they feel a lot of pressure from their parents to get a certain job, and they're scared to disappointment. They're always, what should I do? What do you think they should do? When your parent is pressuring you to, do this, and you feel that, and you work not for yourself but for your parents.
there was a time my parents were like that, and it still kind of is, but not as strict. But what happened was I just kind of sat down with them and talked about what I wanted to do and why college might not be the right choice for me. And at first, obviously, they're angry and frustrated, but over time, as you get older, they really like, especially during this time in history, because parents are focusing more on like their children's mental health, because there's a big rise in mental health issues among teenagers today. So parents are a lot more lenient on their children, and they really just want the best for them, because they know economic anxiety can really overwhelm people, and it could ultimately be destroying their life and stuff. It just took my parents to realize that my mental health was most important to them instead of like a successful job and stuff. So you just really have to make sure your parents know that it's your life, it's your career, and it's ultimately your choice and not theirs. And if they love you and want to support you, then they'll let you do that,
And what if they don't let you do that? Do they not love you?
I wouldn't say they don't love you. I think they're just looking out for you. They want what's best for you.
They're
Even
just
if
a
they
little
do express it
like,
in the wrong way.
yeah, I think they're just a little closed-minded.
Yeah.
I think it stems from their own fears, because they have lived through that, and they know the effects of not getting an education, and it's how they ended up in maybe a bad economic situation. So they're scared that by not going to college and not getting a good career and a good job, you'll end up in the same situation as them, and obviously they don't want that. So I think if your parents are putting a lot of pressure on you in that sense, it's most likely because they're just really worried for you, and you have to also try to understand their point of view, that they really care for you. They care for you so much that they would never want you to have the same lifestyle that they've had. But if you feel passionate about what you want to do, and you shouldn't do things just because they want to do it. You should find the time to sit down and really just talk to them and tell them what you want to do. And even after that, if they still don't listen, then I would say try to do something to kind of show them you're responsible and show them you're serious about it. So if you're serious about art, and you tell them I want to do art, and they're like, no, that's not safe. I think you'll end up regretting it. If they still don't believe you after that, you could maybe sell art or make money or make a name for yourself and show people and show your parents that people like your art and that there's potential here, and they just need you to support you throughout it.
I agree with you 100%. Like, all they want is just reassurance that you'll have a future.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can show that you will have a future, once you prove it, I feel like they'll be okay with you having that future.
Yeah. You think parents can cause anxiety/depression?
Yeah, for sure, because like the incident I was gonna mention, it was basically my coming out moment, because when they didn't support me when I came out as gay, it really teared me apart, and made me depressed for a good year or two. It was just a really bad time for me because I think nothing hurts more than the fact that the people who raise you and are supposed to love you, they don't. It doesn't feel. You just feel like you disappointed them, and yeah.
Are you still recovering from that?
No.
You think you're over?
Yeah. I'm definitely over it by now, because my parents are actually getting a little more open-minded. Yeah,
That's good.
finally, goddamn.
Yeah, but did you feel like you were gonna be sad, and you just feel really sad forever because of that?
Yes, obviously. I didn't think that I could ever get over it because they were. I don't know. It took me so long to build up the courage, and it shattered my heart when they didn't support me, and so I never thought that I would ever get over that. And that's why. But it did take a long time. I mean, I was very, very, very sad and depressed and in a very rough mental state for 2 years or so.
But it got better.
It definitely got better. It's like I was very hopeless at times, but in the end, it always gets better.
That's good. I'm glad. To anyone listening, I hope if you're going through a rough time, I hope you understand that it does get better. And in the moment, if I feel like you're broken and your relationship with them is strained forever, but things change and they might become more open-minded, and hopefully your relationship improves. One thing that I hope this podcast does is help parents listen to it and understand their child better. And when I see moms on Twitter or something follow us, or parents that follow us, I think that's really cool,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the Apple reviews that like, oh, I'm a mom,
Oh yeah.
and I don't know, it just seems so cool.
It seems so sweet.
I feel so bad for kids who have such strict parents, like they can't ever go out or do anything besides to go to school and then go directly back home, or even have social media. It makes me really, I don't know, pitiful, What I've noticed is that the kids with strict parents, they always find some way around it. They always have some sort of secret social media that the parents don't know about or anything like that. So it's being strict is eventually gonna lead to
Secrecy.
secrecy.
And that definitely breaks your trust. The trust between one another.
Have you guys ever had, broken trust with the parent or something like that?
Yeah. When it comes to grades. Like, I remember last year, my sophomore year, it was not my best year when it comes to grades. And every time I would show them, my uncle especially, he would say like, oh, you broke my trust. Or like, you told me that you were going to get better or do better. And so when I do show up with a bad grade, I feel like that's when I broke his trust.
And what did that do for you? Did you feel anything like a responsibility? Did you just not care?
I feel like I did not care, to be honest. Yeah. I sort of just accepted it. But there was this one time where I knew what I was doing when it came to grades, because second semester, I didn't do this one thing, and that like brought my grade really down to like an F. And I knew that since it's the beginning of the semester, as more grades or as more assignments come through, it's gonna balance it out and it's gonna be like a passing grade, right? And I held that out, but I felt like my uncle or my parents didn't like know that. And because of that, because they kept seeing like the bad grade, the same bad grade, I felt like they just didn't trust me anymore. But I knew that as time goes on, like I just trusted myself that as time goes on, it is gonna be a passing grade. And during the last semester or the end of the semester, it did turn out to be that passing grade. To be able to show them that, like that made me happy though. Definitely made me happy. Like, oh look, this is what you wanted. Or like, it's not that I wanted to show them what they wanted. It's just that I was able to achieve it myself, not because of like your help, or I don't know, something.
Not because because you felt that you were the one that wanted to do it, not because you did
Yeah,
it for
yeah,
them.
yeah.
Okay.
It was like it was my choice, not theirs.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think one other thing about the whole trust thing, I think it's important to remind your children that you trust them. And, you know, if they ever break your trust, that shouldn't, you know, like you said, you had a bad grade, right?
Yeah.
I think that shouldn't just mean, you know, my trust in you is broken. I think it would have been better if he just told you, again, he reminded you that, okay, I trust you to get it back up. Because like you said, if you just keep getting told, you broke my trust, you broke it, I don't trust you anymore, then you just accept it. It's like, okay, it's already broken, it can't go any lower, so why work to get up to it?
I would say that my parents are less trusting of boys. Especially because my oldest sister, she got pregnant, I guess you can say a young age. And so when she did get pregnant, like my dad, he basically kicked her out. So yeah, it's like a big thing, I guess you can say, because after that, like, I don't know, I feel like their trust when it comes to like relationships and stuff, it's very fragile, because they just don't want the same thing to happen, which I understand, obviously. Like, I don't want the same thing to happen. But yeah, they're more cautious when it comes to that. Yeah, and we have like a family friend too, and she got pregnant at a young age, so it's just like people getting pregnant. It's a warrant.
It's like a
yeah, and they think that. I mean, I don't think they expect that of me, because I'm pretty sure they know that I know better, or I know that I know better.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're just kind of cautious about that.
Are they supportive of your sister now, or are they still against it?
In the beginning, it was like pretty bad. Like, my sister moved out, obviously, and then whenever my dad would go to work, my mom, she was still supportive of my sister. It was just my dad. So like every time he went to work, like they would come to the house, like my sister and her little baby. And then like before my dad would come, they'd be like, okay, you need to go.
Yeah.
But eventually there was this one time where he came home early.
Ooh.
And then I don't know what I was expecting. I just kind of like felt dread. I was like, what's gonna happen? But honestly, he just kind of accepted it, I guess. Now they support her, of course. They love their, grandchildren. But yeah, it just took some time to come around.
That's good. Yeah. It's kind of like a pattern that usually parents eventually they come around, because it's just hard to completely let go of your kid, And
especially like having older siblings, they think I'll do the same things that they did. Like for homecoming, like an example, like my sister, like she didn't really go to homecoming or like the dances, and my mom always tells me like, oh well, she didn't go, so like why are you going now? Like, why do you feel like going? So I was just kind of
boys.
Like, yeah, I'm just like, okay. I always tell her like I'm not her, but yeah.
No.
Do you guys not like it when your parents compare you to your siblings?
I was just about to say that. That's what I was about to talk about. I don't have siblings.
Me neither.
Well, I have a younger sibling, but like older siblings, I'm assuming you mean.
Yeah. How about you guys?
I mean, I don't like it. I feel like they're seeing me as like living in their shadow.
Is it a constant thing, like a problem for you?
No, it's not a constant thing. It's just like whenever I do something like out of the ordinary, I guess you can say, which really isn't out of the ordinary, but it is to them. They're kind of like, oh well, she never did this. Like,
why are you doing it?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. Or if I do something similar, they're like, oh, like you're doing what she did, or like, no, I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I see.
So, freshman year, I would always be compared to my brother, my older brother. His name's Tommy, but everyone, including my parents and some of the teachers and even some of my friends, like they would compare me to my brother because he was pretty successful. He was like homecoming king, like throughout all 4 years. He was ASB vice president, yada yada, whatever. I don't care. But I just remember people always brought it up. Or they would always be like, well, you only got into ASB because of Tommy. Like, I remember it made me, like, break down one day. I had enough. It was terrible. I was so done. And, I don't know. I was just very, very, very hurt. But I'm over it now. I mean, I think people have come to realize that I'm my own person, and he's his own person. So
Well, he's like 2 years older than you, right? So it's like a new
two.
generation.
He's like 4.
Oh,
Wow.
right.
Yeah, 4. More. Yeah, 4 or 5.
I mean, everyone that knew him is already gone, right? Or they're still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they're gone. But and the thing is, like, I feel like my relationship with them was never really like it never really gone anywhere. Like we never became close friends because I was always seen as Tommy's little brother, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that sucked. But I'm over it.
Do you think Tim is gonna go through the same thing? Like,
Hopefully,
your
no.
Thomas is
I
your brother?
really don't want that to happen to him. But he already tells me that some of his friends from school like, wait, you're Thomas's little brother, and it's just like I don't know. It makes me sad because I don't want him to be compared to me
Because you know how
because
it feels.
I'm not. Yeah, I know how it feels, and I'm really not that worth comparing to. So I don't know.
Well, then stop being so popular.
I know.
Dude.
Delete your Instagram
I
account.
can't help
Yeah, dude,
for people to
stop.
just like me so much.
You know, Thomas, someone asked us, how do you come out to parents? So do you have any advice?
I just remember it took a long time just for me to build up the courage to come out. What I would do first is tell my friends. Like, tell your friends first. Make sure that you tell people that you can trust, that you know that can support you. Or maybe go to a school counselor or an adult that you do trust and you know that or you think that will support you. I think that was what happened for me was because I was just slowly transitioning from telling my friends to telling, just people I didn't even know for like at school, and then eventually my brothers, and then my parents. And really it's all about courage. And if you're not ready, then you're not ready. You just have to be comfortable with yourself and you feel ready to tell them. And sometimes you might not ever feel ready to tell them, and that's totally okay.
So when I was younger, my parents would like kind of fight,
Mm-hmm.
and like I could hear them from the room, and I don't know, I just kind of thought like, why would they do that if I'm here? I kind of felt like betrayed in a way. I don't know if that makes sense,
Yeah.
but I was just kind of like, do they not care enough to like lower their voices or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's how I feel and felt about it.
Did it impact you in any way?
Yeah, it made me sad. I was like, I don't know. I never thought of my parents like separating, but when they would fight, I was just kind of like, oh, like what if it does happen?
How old were you?
Like elementary?
Oh, so you were young.
Yeah.
Does it still affect you? Do you still think about it and, get upset?
Sometimes, but it's not as big of like a pressing matter.
Mm.
But like they still bicker sometimes, but I don't know. I just kind of deal with it, I guess.
Yeah, that's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, I can relate with Kayla. There were times where my parents just got into furious arguments.
Yeah.
And I would just be so scared.
Me-
And like
Oh my
my brother and I would just look at each other and we just already knew. Like we just looked at each other and we were like, oh no,
like sometimes it's just like their tone in their voices
right.
that I feel it starting, and so I just go to my room or I tell my sister,
Yeah.
like I feel like something's gonna happen.
And like when my mom starts crying, that's when I get so scared. Like I'm like I'm fearing like for my life for some reason. Like I have so much
same
like sadness for her and every time I try to get involved, like, wait, mom, are you okay? Like, what's happening? And it's just like it never goes well because they're just gonna get mad at me, like, don't get involved and stuff.
No.
But I know that was a big problem like a few years ago, and it actually happened pretty recently, like right before I went to San Diego for Tommy's apartment thing. They had gone into such a huge fight. And yeah, it was just really scary. And I did feel betrayed a little. But at the same time, I was more pitiful towards my mom and how she felt.
Whenever whenever I see my mom cry, I just kind of like I break down. I'm just like, I can't
Yeah,
do
it
this
doesn't
anymore.
matter
can't
what
do
she's
it.
crying about. I'll cry with her.
Honestly, like sometimes I don't know why she's crying. I'm just like they just like it starts. But yeah, I always feel like sometimes I'm just kind of like, why are you guys still together?
Yeah.
But-
Right? I'm just like, dude,
Yeah.
this relationship is so
Exactly.
toxic.
No, and
Mom,
I'm-
I know you can get a better man.
Dude, yeah.
No offense to my dad, he's cool, but like, he
But
can definitely do better.
I've even asked my mom, to be honest. I'm just like, why are you guys, still
Yeah.
together? And basically her reasoning is like, she's together for us, like my siblings and I, which I totally understand. But still, it sucks to like see her unhappy sometimes.
It sucks that they have
just
to.
because of us.
Yeah, they have to deal with that because there's no other financial option.
That too.
That's
And
like the biggest thing.
She mentions that too. Like, what am I gonna do? Because my dad is our main provider, and I always have like my sister, but I don't know. It's like if they do separate, then everything changes. So
Yeah.
I understand why she stays together for us, but still, I feel really bad.
Yeah, my parents also just stayed together for us. I can tell, like, they were close to a divorce. I'm so sure they were close to one.
Same,
But
dead ass.
I mean, they're still together. They're doing it for my brothers and I, and
Yeah, I think at one point it just becomes like almost like just
They're just
an agreement.
tolerating.
I
each
just feel
other.
so bad because like I never see my mom and dad acting like a couple. Like sometimes I forget they're even married. Like
Dude,
what?
Same.
It's just
Sometimes. Okay, no, go.
I mean, it's just like the only times I ever see them like be a little affectionate is when we go on vacation, and it's for photos. Like, bro,
No, same. Even for vacation, like my aunt was taking a picture of like my mom and dad, and they're just like standing there, obviously like next to each other. And then my aunt was like, "Oh, like put your arm around her." I'm just like, dude, this is so high school. Like, they're literally married.
Kissing.
They've been married for like 30 plus years. Like if he wants to put his arm around her, he'll put his arm around her.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I remember like before my dad would go to work, my mom would always like oh wait, and then like she'd plant a little kiss on him. But now it's just like bye.
Bye.
I was just like, oh,
It just
okay.
turns into an agreement.
Exactly,
They
an
do their own
agreement.
things.
Exactly.
They live in the same house, but they're kind of doing their own thing.
Exactly.
I feel bad. Like,
I'm sorry for the baby if you hear it. I'm really sorry about that.
but I just feel so bad for them. Because I don't want to restrict them from finding love. But at the same time, like, that's not even a priority for them anymore. Like, they don't care. They want to focus on supporting us and everything.
True.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. It just makes me really sad.
Yeah, and they have a house too, and that's complicated. You have a house.
Oh, yes, I do have a house.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have an apartment.
Yeah. So we're like, we just find
But
another
still,
apartment.
it's like I
It's a
know-
lot of work.
it is a lot of work, and like they both work too. Both of them working basically just gives us like more freedom, I guess, like to go out and stuff. But still, it's just to like pay everything,
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, sometimes it feels like they're under the same roof, but they're not like together, I guess.
Yeah. Have you seen those freaking POV videos where it's your parents are fighting at 2 a.m.
Yeah.
while you distract yourself playing music
Especially on
videos?
TikTok.
I honestly felt that.
Honestly, it's so, dude. Those like every time I watch those, it gives me like the weirdest.
Flashbacks.
It's just
I
it
get
feels
flashbacks.
weird, dude. It feels weird, just like like watching that.
Mhm.
It sucks. Like if you hear your mom cry, like you said, like I could just imagine. Like if she's crying, you don't know what's gonna happen next. The uncertainty, like how far will it escalate?
Yeah, exactly. It's always
Mhm.
how far like are they gonna?
This could be it. Like what if your dad hits your mom? Like then what? What do you do?
Exactly. Like there's
No,
really
that's
nothing
when
I
you
can do.
step up and jump in.
But it's still scary to think about.
yeah, it is.
Like will I actually have to do that? Like will you have to look out for weapons? It's a serious issue.
I don't know. Like sometimes it's just like bickering about the smallest things, but then it slowly ravels into something else.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
because
just like, I
then they
thought you
start
guys-
bringing in like other stuff that happens.
Like I remember one time, my dad was saying something about like the dishes or something, and then all of a sudden it went into something else. Like I'm sorry, like I'll wash the dishes. Like I don't care.
Yeah.
Like can you guys just stop? I don't know.
I think when you see other people argue, you really just can see, since you're so unbiased, you can just think of so many solutions. It's like, why are you escalating it so much? Where it's like such a simple, you know, a fix.
Then I guess that just derives from something else.
Yeah,
maybe something else.
It's just resentment and anger that's built up.
Maybe like bottled up emotions.
Yeah, definitely, that's what it is. You know, another thing is in terms of, you know, physical and mental abuse. That's also a pretty big issue.
Mm-hmm.
I think the worst I got was when I was younger, 7 years old or so. I don't know what I did to make my mom so mad, but she threw a Buzz Lightyear at me.
Hey, what?
A Buzz Lightyear.
Oh, a toy.
Yeah, a toy.
Oh shoot.
She just like launched it towards me, and I was like, ah, and
What'd
I
you
just dodged
do?
it. I dodged it, and it hit the wall, and I still have it to this day. So every time I see that scrape, it just, you know, reminds me of me. Like, yeah, she threw it, and I was like, oh, God, yeah. And I was like, what did I do? But I mean, that's the worst I've got. She's, she doesn't tell me any, like, you know, because I know parents sometimes belittle you slowly and, you know, insult you, but my mom makes sure to never call us stupid or dumb or anything like that.
Yeah, I feel like she respects you a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say my parents were ever really physically abusive. They never hit me unless it was like for disciplinary. Wait, is that the word?
Yeah.
Yeah,
disciplinary.
disciplinary like reasons and stuff. So she got out like the chopsticks and stuff.
Oh, wow, really? They use chopsticks?
Whoa.
Yeah,
Dude, I've never heard of that.
Same.
Wow, is that
Okay.
like their weapon of choice?
I guess.
Oh,
But
cool,
it's
interesting.
but she literally jokes about it now. She's like, "Give me the chopsticks." but
Wait, so like, I'm sorry to sidetrack, but how would they use the chopsticks? Like, they just like,
Spank.
did they pinch you with them? Did they
Spank
like
you.
throw them at you?
pinch you. They spank you.
Really?
with
With
chopsticks?
They're
I
like
mean,
soft.
that's
Yeah.
weird because they don't whip.
Yeah.
It's like all
They don't get a
straight
good.
if you
They don't
do
get
it.
like a good rotation.
Okay, well,
So I guess it's just
we don't have like the teeny tiny chopsticks. Like we have like a I don't know why, but we have such a weird variety of sizes of chopsticks,
Oh,
and
All
they always
for-
like to go for the big ones.
okay, interesting. All right, go on.
But so yeah, they were never really physically abusive, and it was never like my dad. It was just my mom. But mentally, I wouldn't know if this is considered mentally, but my dad gets mad really, really easily. And he's low-key, actually not low-key, high-key, an alcoholic. And I don't know, he can't control his temper. He lashes out a lot. So that kind of says a lot about me. But I just remember there was this time where I can tell my dad was like having a rough day. And I asked if he could pick me up from Gael's house. Yeah. And when he picked me up, I could just tell he was in a bad mood. And he was driving so recklessly and violently. It was making me scared for my life. And I remember, like, I was gonna text Gael, like, God, I'm really scared. I don't know what to do. But, I mean, I never did because I was like, you know what? Like, I don't want to worry, Gael. But I just remember my dad so enraged. And I was just fearing for my life. Like, I was just, a car could literally just stop or could just make a weird turn. And that's it. Like, I don't know. I was just really scared. But I just, like, there's just been so many times where my dad would get mad at me for anything. Like, he gets mad really easily, even when I ask simple questions that aren't even like about him. It's just like, oh, actually, I'm not gonna give an example, but yeah, it's really hard to trust and talk to him about anything. That's why I don't have the best relationship with him, because we have those times where he
Mood swings.
yeah, he has his mood swings and stuff, and yeah.
Yeah, going back to the drinking, like before, my dad was like a moderate drinker, I guess, but especially on the weekends, because my uncles, they would have like barbecues and like parties and stuff. And I remember like he would always like want us to go, like as a family, but nobody wanted to go because he would come back drunk driving. So I feel like that just kind of like, I don't know, put like a barrier. Like we didn't trust him enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it sucks when you don't trust your parents to be responsible, like to parties and
Yeah.
stuff, because you know if you go, they're gonna drink and they're gonna come back, and just
Exactly.
you don't want to deal with that because you know what's
Yeah.
gonna happen.
And I feel like, well, I think we went with him once, and then like coming back home, I think we just kind of unanimously like decided like we can't do it anymore. Like it's not safe, and we would tell him, but like I don't know, he was too stubborn, and then eventually like he got a DUI, and so now he's like good. So like honestly, it was a blessing in disguise that he got that, because now he's like, if he even touches a beer, he's like, I can't drive. Like, call me an
Really?
Uber. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So it's really
It
good.
made him really realize.
Yeah. And like
Okay.
even now he drinks less. So
Oh.
I'm really glad, I guess, that he got that, even though he had to like pay a lot and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. And even like what Thomas was saying, like in anger and stuff. My dad's not really angry, but it's just kind of like when he's in a bad mood, everybody feels it, and so it affects everybody. Like we're all kind of like on edge, I guess. I don't know. It affects the whole house, especially my mom, because he'll most likely like take it out on my
It's like
mom.
walking on eggshells.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to do anything.
So I just
to
kind of
anger
like
them.
avoid him. I stay in my room.
Mhm. I understand that. I think it sucks when parents drink because you know, it's just it feels kind of, they're a different person. Like you don't know them
Yeah.
suddenly.
Right? Yeah, I'm just like, what?
Yeah,
Who
it's
are
just like,
you?
who are you, right?
Yeah.
You don't. You feel like you lose all trust and all sense of
Exactly.
knowing
Like,
who they
do I
are.
even know who you are?
Especially when they like act out in public.
Yeah.
That is just
Yeah.
terrible. I remember I don't know, my dad was getting mad at some worker and I felt so bad. I kept apologizing to them like, "Oh, I'm so sorry about that." And it was just, I don't know. I just felt so embarrassed and ashamed. And I know it sounds really bad, but it's literally how I felt at the time, that I just felt ashamed about my father and his very rude and reckless behavior, because I know he was like kind of drinking at the time. So yeah.
Yeah, my mom, thankfully, doesn't drink much. She isn't a heavy drinker. You know, she just kind of drinks casually, maybe one or two. And like the most, like when she does get drunk, she just starts singing and dancing. So she doesn't, you know, do any, you know, start yelling or anything like that. So
I feel like your mom drunk is really just her, but a little more loud.
yeah, it's just her, but a little more loud. And yeah, I'm really thankful for my mom because she's just a very happy person. She gives me a lot of optimism.
Yeah, talking about moms, let me give some credit to my mom. She's pretty awesome. She doesn't really drink. She's just always there. Like she doesn't really like going out to like parties with like my family. I don't know. I feel like she's like our anchor, I guess. So yeah, she's always there.
You know what? Because you did that, I'm gonna give a shout out to my mom. My mom is honestly amazing. Even when we have our little arguments and stuff, I love her regardless, and she loves me regardless.
Exactly.
Yeah, she like your mom. She doesn't go out to parties and drink. She never drinks.
Same.
So I'm proud of her for that, because I feel like, because every one of my relatives drinks, and I'm just surprised she hasn't fallen into that.
Exactly.
So I'm very proud of
Like,
her.
they'll offer my
Right?
mom, and then she's like, "No, I don't want anything." And
Yeah.
they're like, "Oh, why aren't you drinking?"
But yeah, I really love her, and she's really like, moms really are the anchor in the family.
Honestly.
Like without my mom, my family would have been a mess. We wouldn't last.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
Yeah, you know, I could already feel myself getting choked up. But I hope, you know, one day when my mom listens to this, it kind of makes me happy that we have this podcast, because if something were to ever happen to me, she would be able to listen to my voice and, you know, kind of hear me, which, you know, makes me really glad. So I hope someday she hears this and how much I love her and appreciate her. Sorry.
I'm really starting to cry too.
Oh, I'm just gonna start crying. Dude, what the heck? It's just, I really don't know where I would be without her, and all of her support. And I know, sometimes I'm not the best at showing my affection for her. And I literally want to be able to provide her with everything that she deserves. And, it really does suck when you see them cry, like you said. Especially when they try to hide it from you. And, they go to the restroom and they cry and you could hear it. And it's just, like, it makes you so sad, Oh, because you just can't do anything about it. It makes me, every time, like one time I heard my mom crying in the restroom and I could just hear her crying and it made me so sad because...
Like, there's not much I can do besides hug her.
Yeah, because even when you ask, like, are you okay? Or, like, asking what's wrong, they won't tell you.
Yeah. And I know she was stressed about money in that time and what she would do for the future and stuff. And it makes me so angry because sometimes it just makes me feel useless, because you want to do more. You want to be able to provide more. And I think everything I do is really to be able to give her everything she deserves. And I appreciate her for always being so trusting and worthy and just so making my life so much better, and for of course giving birth to me, thankfully. And I just really appreciate her, and it makes me so sad to think that someday she might not be here.
Stop.
Like,
Stop.
I'm not
gonna start, like,
every time, like,
no.
every time I think about that, that's when I just start breaking
Dude,
down.
I literally do this to myself. Like, sometimes I just imagine, what if I find out, like, my mom died tomorrow and, like, I'm alone? Like, what would I do? Like, it would make me so sad and makes me regret, like, not telling her I love her or giving her that hug, or, So, tell your mom you love her.
Yeah. And your dad, too.
Yeah, and your dad. Okay. And, yeah, sorry that we all just broke down crying. It's, I hope you cried with us.
Mm-hmm.
Because of how much you love your mom.
Because of how much you...
Yeah.
It's
Or
just,
parents.
Yeah, sometimes, like, I'm crying because of how much I love her, It's, like,
No,
I'm so
same.
happy.
Like, I just want to hug her right now.
Yeah. Oh, I can't. I'm still crying. Oh, my goodness. Okay. That's it for this episode. It's a very bittersweet note. Any announcements? We do have a lot of announcements this week. We sold out of all of our beanies. Woo. Thank you guys so much for that, for buying a beanie. To everyone that bought one, I hope you liked it. It was our first piece of merch, and we're so glad we actually even sold one, because we were so worried we weren't going to sell any. The money from that is going to help us so much in keeping this podcast running, and so thank you so much for that. And thank you to everyone that is so supportive of the sponsors. We try to make them as natural as possible, so when you guys tell us that you don't mind it too much, it really it's a big relief, because one of the last things we wanted to do was make it seem like we were selling out in a way, or we didn't want to sound so fake, and that's why we make sure to try every single product and make sure we like it before we actually talk about it and promote it. So thank you so much for being so supportive of that. Yeah, just thank you for all of the support. Thank you to all of our Patreons. We'll do a lot more for you guys soon. Have a lot of cool stuff planned, and I'm just in a very thankful and a very grateful mood right now. So just thank you for listening, and everyone that listens to the end of every single one of these podcasts. Thank you so much. If you want to support us, you could tell a friend, or you could leave a review. You can follow us on Instagram at teenager_therapy. And with that being said, we'll see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.